You're watching Power Media Network.
I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. But you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play. And you couldn't handle that I had my ways. I found your matrix and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe. But you didn't win this, it's a part of the game. In the beginning I just didn't know.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
VICKtorious. VICKtorious.
Hey. Happy Friday, Junior. Welcome to this week's episode of Dr. VICKtorious, where we explore the intersections of social justice, wellness, and what it means to show up fully human, especially from a Black perspective, because I'm Black, as you can see. I'm your host, Dr. Nicole Vick. Yay! Woo! In this episode, we're talking about why community is essential for Black women specifically. And this conversation is driven by something that happened recently. My neighbor passed away, and I was like, whoa, hold on. What's going on? So I need to process it. Y'all know I like to process things in real time, out loud. And I actually think that's a really good thing to do. And you can do that with your friends, or you can start a podcast. Now, I will say there's levels to this, right? Because there are certain people that should not have a microphone. And I don't think that's me. I think there's some folks that are like, what are you saying? We're not talking about that kind of processing right now. But a lot of us as Black women have been conditioned to be strong, independent, endlessly capable, just always able to produce. But strength without support really is like isolation. So we're just going to dig into it. I'm going to talk about my friend, really sad that she passed. And, not so much about what happened, because actually I honestly don't know, but what her absence has meant to me. But before we get into that, there's a couple things. It is Pride Month, so happy Pride Month. Yay. And I was just talking to the producer before we got on. Pride Month came in with a bang. I don't know if y'all seen that video. It turns out it was father-son. And the son was at the graduation for his brother. And apparently he was sitting away from the family because of, unfortunately, some of our families are not very pro, they don't like, folks to be part of the LGBTQ. So they try to, no, you can't sit with us type thing. So fine, he went and sat somewhere else, but I guess dad still had a problem with it, was all up in his face. And I'm not a fan of, beating down on parents, but I will also say I'm not a fan of parents being bullies to their children. So I think son was holding on to that and was waiting for that day for probably a long time. And so when dad touched son took him all the way down them stairs, boop, boop, boop. I was like, whoa. So sometimes it be like that, which is unfortunate, but I feel like that was like the interesting way to start Pride Month, right? Like, whoa. Also, we had elections on Tuesday here in California, and I'm sure other parts of the country, maybe, I'm not sure. I actually worked the election, so I learned day of that there are some people that work 11 days, so they actually open the polls 11 days ahead of time, so you can drop off your mail-in ballots and all that good stuff. And then I work 4 days, and let me tell you, I was so confused about what day of the month it was by the time I came back because I worked Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So in my head, Saturday was Monday, right? Because I'm like, I don't work on Saturdays. So I was so confused. I was like, is today Friday? What's happening? It was only Tuesday. Tuesday was the hardest day because it was the longest day. 4:30 in the morning, I had to get up to be there by 6, and we did not leave there until after 9 p.m. But it was amazing to see people coming in to vote, people to register on the spot so they could vote. All sorts of folks came in, and it was a really great day. So I did my service. I don't know if I'm gonna do it again because what the next election is in November. I don't know. It was a lot, but at the same time, I got to see a lot of people, and I got to meet colleagues from different county departments because those are the people that usually work the polls. And so it was really cool to kind of be in community with some folks. You see how I like the word community. So yeah, it was cool. The other update I have to just tell y'all, I had to cut these nails down. So here's look what happened. This one broke, and it broke off so low I have to let it grow out, and I'm sitting here like, oh man. Andrea said, mommy, just cut them all down, so we finna be looking like this for a while until this one grow out. So don't mind me. I think I'm not gonna even design them. We just gonna wear them natural and So as you can see, I'm very devastated by this because I feel like this is what I feel like. I flew too close to the sun with the nails because they were long and they were stilettos. And I think I was putting too much stress because even this one is cutting up. Too much stress on your index finger. Think about it. You probably use your index finger more than you use any other finger. So if you're typing or doing something, you're putting a lot of pressure on it. I think I didn't wore the index finger down and the index finger to say, girl, if you don't leave me alone. So I'm gonna leave it alone. That's the updates for me, y'all. We finna go up into this scroll stroll. We got some funny ones and we got some kind of sad news too. So let's jump into it. All right. Scroll stroll. I keep saying we need a little song, little jingle. Scroll stroll, something, putting it in there. The first one is, man, I love Threads, y'all. Threads is amazing because they don't care if you're a celebrity or not. They will still clown you. They will still talk bad about you. They don't care. And so this one was a little innocent though. Janae Aiko, well, no, somebody said that Janae Aiko was the modern day Sade. And again, the testament to Threads, Janae Aiko got on there and said, please don't have these people come yelling at me or be mad at me, because to me, it's like, how you gonna compare the two? And that's no shade to her. But she's not Sade, like at all, like ever. And so it was just really funny. And I thought that was a cute sort of example of how on Threads, everybody gets it, celebrity or not. If they don't like you, I don't know if y'all heard Tia and Tamara, I forgot which twin is the twin that nobody likes. I can't remember. But she came on and was like, hi, child. They tore her down and them comments so fast. It was terrible. I was like, oh my God. But again, Threads is like, they don't care. If you're a celebrity, we will still talk bad about you, or we will tag you on something. And sometimes the celebrity will respond. And it's very sort of like, there's no hierarchy in a sense there, right? So I just thought this one was funny because she got on there and was like, oh, wait a minute, whoa, don't put me up in this. No, don't do it. Because they're going to be in my comments talking crazy to me. No. And I thought that was so cute. The next one I call medical apartheid. I'm a public health professional, been in public health for over 22 years now, heading into year 23 really soon. And so there's a federal lawsuit being filed by civil rights attorney Ben Crump. And this lawsuit alleges that the U.S. government used Black infants from low-income families as test subjects without parental knowledge or consent in 1965 and 1966. The infants were injected with a highly concentrated experimental RSV vaccine known as Lot 100 at a Washington, D.C. hospital. Two of the infants, Ross Otto Hambrick and Victor Marcellus King, became critically ill and died in January of 1967. Their families claim they only recently learned about the experiments after their children's tissue samples and data were reportedly used for decades to inform modern RSV vaccines. So again, I'm a public health person. I know about Tuskegee. I know about all the other things that have happened over the years in our country's history, even outside of the U.S., where stuff is done in the name of public health. We're going to test this thing on some prisoners. It's okay. They're in prison. Oh, we're going to do this thing. We're not going to ask nobody. We just going to do it. Yes, wild. And I see another comment. That is so effing sad. Very sad. It's for something to be done to your children, to you, and you have no idea what's happening. And I will say, this is the main reason why we have, if you've ever heard of an IRB board or the idea of informed consent, I need to know what you are doing to me, what harm that could potentially cause, what benefits that could potentially cause. I need to know all of these things before I agree for you to do a vaccine or anything. I was recently signed up for a study where it's about lung strength or something like that. I had to sign a consent form that was approved by an institutional review board, IRB. And so some of those things have been put in place because of stuff like the Tuskegee syphilis experiment and whatnot. So it's really sad. And Tuskegee ended, I forgot what year it ended, but it was probably around the same time that this potentially or supposedly happened. So we have to really create safeguards for folks. And yes, and they wonder why African Americans don't want to get vaccinated. They wonder why African Americans don't want to go to the hospital. They don't trust doctors. And I always tell people, because I often see, especially during COVID, there was lots of research on people's, acceptance of the vaccine and trust in public health. And I'm like, that distrust is well earned. You earned that distrust because of the stuff like this. Y'all do crazy things and let's just put it under the rug and people forget about it. You're causing harm to people and that doesn't go away. I'm not gonna trust you about anything when I know what you've done to people that look like me, right? So there's a lot of work on the side of these institutions to do better. But this is crazy because this is yet another example of something happening and no one knows what happened. Henrietta Lacks, same thing. Her cells being used to the benefit, of course, to the medical society, but actually financial benefit. They were able to do all these things with her cells and she was passed away. Didn't even have no way of being able to consent to that being done. And I know thankfully they were compensated, but it probably wasn't enough. I'm just going to say. So that's the second one. I see. Yeah, let's experiment. Like I said, it's usually people of color, it's usually prisoners, and all those things. And that's why, again, IRB is really very strict about those kinds of things. Like you can't go do research on kids like that. You just can't, or prisoners or vulnerable populations like that. So that's why those things are in place. But as we can see, there's many instances where those things are ignored for the benefit of sometimes not even our benefit at all. They're on our backs, but are used to benefit other people, which is even worse. All right. And the last one of our stroll. One of them is a little older than the other, but it's still, I feel like we should talk about both of them. So listen, I was scrolling and I saw that Rob Bass had passed and I'm like, wait a minute. I am a Gen Xer. And so Rob Bass, It Takes Two, I promise, was probably the very first song that I had, hip hop song that I had learned in my whole life. I think I could probably still recite it word for word. And so he's half of the legendary duo Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, died on May 22nd at the age of 59. I promise you, as you get older, these ages sound young. Maybe when you're 20, 59 sounds old, but when you're 47, 59 don't sound old. And it's like, hold on, what? Huh? What happened? And then on an well, let me keep reading this part. It says known for his massive 1988. And I'm like, no, I was only 10 years old. His massive 1998 party anthem, It Takes Two. The rapper passed away peacefully, surrounded by family after a private battle with cancer. His death came just 4 days after celebrating his 59th birthday. So rest in peace, Rob Bass, and thank you for your contributions to hip hop. Like I said, if you were Gen Xer, It Takes Two. I mean, that's probably the first song that we all knew and were like, yeah, and heard on the radio. You know, even to this day, I'm like, I'm hearing it in my head. And then another one of our esteemed singers, songwriters, Peebo Bryson on Tuesday passed away. Two-time Grammy-winning R&B singer Peebo Bryson, known as the voice of love and the singer behind Disney classics like Beauty and the Beast and A Whole New World, died on Tuesday. He was 75. And passed away in Marietta, Georgia, surrounded by family following a stroke. Most of us know him well before A Whole New World and Beauty and the Beast, though. I'm just going to say the Black contingent had been knew him before that, but I know definitely he will be remembered for those songs, and they were beautiful. Even I'm not even a Disney person, child, but he sang them songs down, okay? Oh, yeah, I watched Beauty and the Beast all this week because of his passing. Oh my gosh, Mr. Neil, you had a stroke after your fourth vaccine? So scary. And again, you know, a lot of us would be like, oh, you tripping. That's it's probably not related. It's probably not related. But again, we see news like this, and it's like, I mean, did the vaccine do something? Like, you can't, you know, start to throw those conspiracy theories out, because then you start to hear stuff that's like, oh shoot, stuff happens. They do weird stuff that they're not supposed to do, and they do it to people of color, specifically Black people and other vulnerable populations. So then it make you wonder, like, what's really going on? So man, we're going to go to commercial break and come back and talk about community. And we will also talk about, like I said, my neighbor and how much she meant to me. And yeah, so we'll be back. Come on back and let's talk some more. All right, see you.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
The news is divided. Ground News puts it back together, with coverage from thousands of outlets around the world in one place. So you can spot sensational reporting, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on. Beside every headline, you'll see who owns the source, how reliable it is, and if they have a political bias. Multiple perspectives side by side, giving you a well-rounded view of today's biggest stories. Visit ground.news to learn more.
This is Tammy from Tammy's Take, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
And we are back reflecting on the importance of community. And like I was saying earlier, this whole conversation was prompted by me losing my neighbor. My neighbor passed away. And so I'm gonna tell the story, and we maybe can put her picture up for just for a little bit. So I have lived here since 2011. And in that time, there were a couple of families that have lived here, two families, and then this particular family moved in. And so, and I don't remember what year it was. And I always tell y'all, if I can't remember how I've met you, what year, what time, that's a good thing. I don't know. The lady was here and we just hit it off, right? So I would see her, like our paths crossed very intentionally just over time. So but when I would come home from work, she would be outside, you know, just relaxing after work. And we would just talk anything, gas prices. Oh, you know, my kids, she has 3 sons. I have 1 daughter. We talk about our kids and stuff that they be doing. And yeah, I'm trying to tell you, you know, we just going back and forth and just talking about all kinds of stuff. I would see her and I say, girl, where you going? She'd be dressed cute. It's my birthday. And I'm like, oh my God, happy birthday. You know? So it was just really like, just sharing, just talking, just being acquainted. And I think it was very special because in this day and age, a lot of people do not know their neighbors, do not know their neighbor's name. Maybe you see them in passing and you kind of wave across the street, but you don't really have conversation or anything. I had this woman's phone number. We texted. We sometimes get on the phone and talk, or like I said, I'd see her and we chit chat outside. When I broke my ankle, so let's go jump ahead to 2024. The night before I broke my ankle, the other neighbor on the other side of me, the ambulance had been called, and I don't even really know what happened with that. But I was talking to her. I kind of stepped outside, and she happened to be outside. And I said, "What's going on?" You know, chit chatting. And I said something like, "Girl, you know, I'm in here by myself. If something happened to me, who gonna call? Who gonna come help me? Who gonna come save me?" And we kind of laughing and just not laughing at the neighbor, but just kind of like, "Girl, you know, you got to figure something out." I go in the house. That next day, I fell and broke my ankle. She was the first person I called when I broke my ankle, or I think I texted her, but we ended up getting on the phone and she was like, what? So she comes running. I'm coming. I got some crutches. And she come running. I said, I can't get to the door because once I got to the sofa, I wasn't getting back up. I was like, I only got 1 leg. And she was like, oh, let me see if I can figure something out and whatever. Call my brother. And so my brother comes, she sees my brother, and I figure out how to open the window. I had to pop the screen. So luckily the window was open. I just had to pop the screen out, and then they put the crutches through the window. But she literally was the first person that I called when I broke my ankle. And ever since then, she had, like I said, she has 3 sons. 1 is moved out, 2 are in the home. She was like, listen, I'm going to have them bring your trash bin up and down. You know, somebody got to take your trash. You know, stuff that you don't think about when you are newly disabled and you can't just walk outside and do stuff. And so she set that up. Sometimes packages would come. She would send them over. I gave them Christmas gifts. Like, it was just really a really nice relationship. She invited me to a party she had, and the biggest regret I have in my life right now, there's lots of regrets, but right now is she invited me to her house for a moo party, and I didn't go because my ankle was acting up. And I was like, let me stay home. That would have been the last time I would have seen her like in her space and in, you know, vibing. So I do regret that. All I know is that the last time I spoke to her, again, caught her outside. She said, I finally got a date. She had an issue with her knees, and she finally was able to get some help with getting her knees fixed, I guess a surgery or something of that nature. And at the time I saw her, the surgery was supposed to be the end of April. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. This is good because now we can go to the gym, because she wanted to go to the gym and do all these things. And I'm like, now we could go together and do some things. Didn't see her for a while. I texted her the night before she had said that the surgery was going to be, and I didn't get a response. But to me, that's like normal, right? Like maybe she's nervous or maybe she's asleep. I don't know. So I didn't think too much about it. But what I was doing, and even my producer knows, because I had asked her, I said, producer, what should I do? I was continuously, because I'm trained to see her outside on on her porch. I'm looking. I said, well, at some point she got to come outside. So I'm, I get home, I'm looking. I'm driving down the street. I get to the house, I'm looking, and I don't see her. And I was trying to see or catch up with her husband or her sons to be like, hey, how's Crystal doing? But I never saw them. There were some instances where I would see family gathered. But again, even though I'm a neighbor, I know about boundaries. That's not my business, right? They're outside, they're having a good time. I'm not gonna be like, what's going on? I noted it, but I was like, well, where is she? Like, I was still kind of looking for her. And finally, about 2 weeks ago, I said, there's only one way to get an answer to this question. There's only one way. And so I picked up my phone, because everything is on on the internet and everything. I Googled her name and I typed in obituary after it. And that picture that you're seeing now popped up. And it was like literally, that's literally, I'm just laying in the bed and it's like, whoa, because I had decided that she was recovering somewhere else. Maybe she's at her father's house or her sister's house. I was like, oh, maybe she's still, because there's stairs over there and she wanted to be somewhere. I was like, oh, yeah. But when I saw that, I was like, whoa, this is real, right? Like, no, she's not here. So then I was like, well, did something happen with the surgery? But then I looked at the date. No, she didn't even make it to the surgery. There was something that happened earlier in April. And I'm like, that was a second. Like, what happened? And so it's FYI, I have no idea what happened. I have suspicions about what could have happened. I don't know. But literally the last time I saw her, she was really happy because she was like, yes, I can finally get my knees fixed and I can resume my life and do what I want to do. And so all I can say is the last time I spoke to her, she was happy and excited and I was happy for her. I did end up getting a card and putting gift cards in there and taking it over to the neighbor. And I was able to finally speak to her husband, and he didn't say much, but he thanked me for the card. And I said, oh, I don't know what happened. I said, however I can be helpful. I don't know what I can do because I can't do much, but whatever I can do is let me know how I can be helpful to y'all and, whatnot. And I thanked him, again, I said, I want to thank y'all because when I was down, y'all, definitely stood in the gap for me. And you know what he said? He said, we're neighbors. That's what we're supposed to do. So I don't know. It's bittersweet, of course, because I'm like, wait, no, she's supposed to be here. She's only 54 years old. And like I said earlier, when you 20, 54 sound old. When you 47, 54 sounds young. And so I'm like, no, man, this is crazy. And so, yeah, and thank you all for comments. Yeah, community, yeah, she was a good neighbor. She was so sweet. And like I said, she'd call, hey, XY, I see Mew Mew the cat got outside. I said, yeah, I know she ran outside. Oh, well, we would laugh, because she didn't have pets. Well, she did have a dog, but she would laugh because she was like, Mew Mew be out here just walking around. And I said, I know she's being bad. So like, it'd be little stuff like that, I don't know. It just really made me reflect. And I had to even ask ChatGPT, like, what in the world? And y'all know I lost John, right? Like last year. So I'm like, what is going on? It reminded me about the fact that time, is an illusion, at least in my eyes, and how important support systems are. And even though I wasn't close enough to know what happened when it happened, the fact that I was able to say, whoa, something is wrong. Like, where is she? Even just me being like, wait, this isn't right. Like, I always see her and I haven't seen her in a month. What's happening? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Whew. It made me really think about who really knows us, who checks in on us, and whether we built lives where people notice if we disappeared. And I noticed it. I was like, where is she? And I was trying to catch up with folks and I just wasn't able to. So I said, well, I don't know. Yeah. Thank y'all. It's crazy. And so that's where I felt like I wanted to talk about community, and especially because for a lot of us as Black women, there's this pressure to be self-sufficient, to be hyper independent, to survive. And some of us asking for help can be uncomfortable, and there's this expectation that we have to be the strong Black woman all the time. We were raised to push through. And I always laugh because I'm like, that's the title of my book. And I feel like I need to write another one that says, don't push through or something. I don't know. Because I'm like, it's actually not a good thing to actually always have to be forced to push through. Being in community can often make us feel like we're being vulnerable. And I think we need to get out of vulnerability being a bad thing. It's okay to feel vulnerable. It's okay to wonder what happened to your neighbor and say, wait, I haven't seen her. That's vulnerability. And to be like, wait, what happened? What's going on? And to be thinking about someone and wondering where they are. And some people only know how to give support and not receive it. And I feel like that was a lesson for me, and the same lesson I learned with John, to allow people to help you. But you can only have that experience if you are in community and you are intentional about creating a community around you. And like I always tell y'all, and I don't know who said this to me first, but someone said, you can't always withdraw from the friendship bank account. You can't always be walking up to the ATM pulling from your friends. You also have to make deposits, and that's how you create community. Many of us have mastered functioning. We're on autopilot. We are walking through the world with our eyes closed, our minds closed, doing whatever we need to do because it's part of what we're supposed to be doing. But there's a difference between functioning and being supported. They're not the same. And so, again, this is really just a call to action. And if you are, I'm talking to Black women because I'm a Black woman, but if you are not a Black woman, how can you help support to creating community? How can you make sure that friends, family, people you care about have these social support systems that they need? Community is so important because it helps regulate stress and grief. You have someone to process your feelings with. When I broke my ankle, child, I was talking to everybody. They probably was tired of me. I'm like, yeah, my ankle, I can't do this, I can't do that, and you know, and I need help. And I think I was really lucky and blessed that people showed up for me in ways that I didn't expect or didn't know that I needed. And again, now my turn is how can I be helpful to other people, checking in on folks and whatnot. We often carry emotional labor for everyone else, but we don't give that vulnerability or have that vulnerability to allow people to help. So think about what a community could mean to you. Maybe some of you go to church and you have a community there. That's great. Chosen family. People sometimes, I just told y'all about that fight with the dad and the son. Sometimes our biological family, child, they let us down. They do. And sometimes we have to choose our family. That's also an example of community. You can have a group chat. I remember we used to have a group chat with a group of friends that I had. It kind of died down and stuff. So we don't really have talk on there anymore, but it was when it was, up and doing its thing, it was really, really helpful. Neighborhood relationships. And she's not the only neighbor that I speak to. There's one, she used to live this way, but now she moved across the street. I see her every so often and she's so funny. Where are you going? Because she knows, I'm still recovering. Where are you going? And I'm like, I'm just going to go to the post office. It's okay. Okay. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is it okay if I go outside? But she'll check on me every so often. How you doing? You all right? Yep. You want your trash can, brought in. There's another neighbor over here. He'll also ask me the same thing. He'll text me and stuff. Some of you belong to sororities and whatnot. Wellness circles are good. I remember one of our guests talked about that, having sort of in-person wellness circles and even online communities. I got to be careful though, because sometimes they can, become very toxic. But if you curate it carefully, online communities can be helpful. Thank you, Neil. I can offer my condolences. I always say God accepts and knows when someone goes home. Yeah. I think about it a lot because, like I said, literally their house is next door. So of course, every time I kind of look over there, I think about it. And I said, I just hope it wasn't painful. I just hope it was, maybe she just went to sleep and did, whatever it was, I just hope she wasn't in pain or anything like that. My brain went to, grandkids that she won't see. I'm like, and Chad was trying to help me process that. Like, you're really being very thoughtful about this. And I'm like, because I understand what that means, right? Like, I'm sure one of the things she would have loved was to be a grandmother to her grandkids. Her sons still need her. My daughter and her oldest son, I think, are around the same age. I'm like, Andrea still need me. Hello. So it's like, I know in my heart that was the last thing that she wanted to happen. Like, no, as a mom, we don't, we want to be here for forever or close enough to forever. So I also want to talk a little bit, and my bad, because I guess I've been running my mouth so long, we done almost to the end. I ain't got through my notes, but that's okay. I think another thing that's important to talk about, and I've talked about this with other friends who live alone, why intentional community is important as we age. Things happen. We get lonely as adults. Community doesn't just happen in adulthood. You have to be intentional about it. Many people are disconnected, even though they may be surrounded by other people. We often, as Black women, prioritize caregiving over relationship building. And so I think about my mom and how she was a caregiver to her mother and even to her grandmother. And so think about how that became priority. And I'm sure for her, relationship building or creating community was not top of mind. She was taking care of her family. And we need people beyond the folks we see at work and, the family obligations. We need those things. And as we age, our needs differ. Our mobility might change. Something else, even one of my friends, she's been a guest here, she's a nurse, talked about the fact that just the fact being in community with people and talking and socializing is really important to our brain function. If you think about it, if you live at home and you're kind of not talking, right? You're by yourself, you're not having conversation, like some of the parts of your brain that are typically stimulated by that activity kind of go, they don't get the exercise that they need, right? So it's really important to create those relationships, man. Whoa. So I would say if you are like, well, I don't know how to build no community. I don't have that neighbor. I don't have the neighbor that, we chit chat about all the things. And I'll just also say, I also am very aware. My daughter says it and other people tell me, Nicole, you talk to everybody. It's easy for you to speak. You go to the poll place and you talk to the people at the poll place know that you wrote a book because you done ran your mouth. You're showing them pictures of your ankle with the x-ray. Like it's easy for me to like talk to people and I'm curious about what they're doing and, chit-chatting. Everybody is not like that. I get it. But there's some things that you can do. Maybe reach out to old friends that you've lost contact with. Hey, haven't caught up with you in a while. Can we go get coffee? How are you? Be the person who initiates plans. I'm guilty of that. I often wait for people to invite me places. Hey, you guys want to go to the Getty Museum? There's a great exhibit on blah, blah, blah. You want to go to LACMA on Friday to have the jazz thing. You don't wait for people. You set the thing up. Create small traditions. Maybe you have Galentine's Day every year. You can also join local groups or organizations. Eventbrite is really good if you're trying to look for stuff to do that have, where there's an interest. You can meet people that way. Biking, you can go to the gym. I don't know. I don't be feeling like talking to nobody in no gym, no. But it depends on what kind of gym. Maybe there's a gym where people are a little more friendly and you want to, have friendships and build a community there. Host simple gatherings. Have something at your house. And ask for help without shame. Don't feel ashamed to ask for help. So there's a lot of different ways to build that community. And I would also say it's not only just about emergencies. You have to be consistent. You have to be intentional. Like you have to care about other people's lives and check in with them. Like, hey, how'd that thing go? I remember you said you were going to San Diego. How did that trip go? Did you have fun? Or someone else that you spoke to maybe 2 weeks ago about something like, oh, did you figure that thing out? Like you just can't expect people to want to talk to you. It has to be equal. Remember, you can't just take from the friendship bank account. You also have to deposit. So it has to be a two-way conversation. So it's not hard, but it is, a thing. I think we can go to commercial now so that I can do the doctor's notes and then we can wrap up. My bad, y'all. I was talking a lot. We'll come back after commercial and wrap everything all together.
Hey, how y'all doing? Real quick, this is Daryl Walter, host of the Daryl Walter Show. I know. And you are watching Pyro Media Network.
What's going on, y'all? It's Kwame Speaks from Kwame Speaks Live, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
All right, we're at the end of this episode, and now we're going to talk, my little doctor's note closing segment, y'all. Just some closing reflection for everyone. This loss, and even again, if we go all the way back to John, really, I just had a moment like, why? Why is this happening? What is this teaching me? And what do I need to learn? And how do I take this and take this forward and give back in some way? So just in closing, I think sometimes we underestimate how deeply we need one another. I think, especially for us as Black women, I don't need nobody. I got it. Or it's not even that we don't need nobody, but we're just used to doing. We're used to being the one that has to do everything. But we underestimate how much we need each other, not just romantically, not just biologically, spiritually, emotionally, especially in a world that teaches Black women to survive without softness, without rest, and without help. And so in closing, there's 3 questions I want you all to reflect on. What would it look like for you to build deeper community this year? What could you do differently? Who are your people? Think about that. And I mean, not just because, you might break your ankle one day, it might happen, but think about that and how you can cultivate your people and cultivate those relationships better. And are you letting them truly know you? Because sometimes we have walls up and we're not vulnerable. So we have to be vulnerable in order to have those true, deep relationships that we need in that community that's so very important. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening tonight and humoring me and talking about my neighbor. I hope she is resting. I just hate that she's not here for her children. Like I said, I'm a mom. So I think that's the part that really really got me in the chest. But as we close up, remember, I have a beautiful website, www.NicoleDvick.com. that you can go on and see all the things. I have to add some stuff too. And I'm doing organizational workforce culture workshops and things for nonprofit organizations and other types of organizations. So I'm going to have to add that on there so people can actually see those things. I'm also on social media. I think I've been doing really well with LinkedIn. I'm also thinking of doing a Substack. So producer FYI, I don't know if you knew that, but that's what I'm thinking about doing because somebody said I should do that. But I'm on LinkedIn more than anything. And I'm also on Instagram. My professional podcasty Instagram is Dr. VICKtorious. And my other more personal one is Nicole D. Vick. That's where, you will see me talk about gas prices being too high because they are. Who the heck? Ain't nobody got that kind of money be driving around. So that's my social media and my website. And I have beautiful books on my website that you can purchase. 3 of them: Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson, Push Through, 52 Weeks of Light in Tough Times. And the latest, which my friend Neil is also in, is the anthology called Triumph in the Trenches. About 20 plus authors have chapters in that book. And I have all those copies available on my website. All right, y'all. I'll see you next week. I'll have a guest next week. So excited about that. And I will see y'all. You guys take care of yourselves. Think about your community. Get one together if you ain't got one, because we need each other. We do. Especially now, child. The way society is going on, all the stuff is happening. We gonna need each other because ain't nobody coming to save us. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm just saying that. I'm gonna leave that with you. And I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.